Hey, how's it going, Brew Crew? Hope everyone's having a great week so far. Summer is definitely in full swing here in Michigan, and that means we are finally able to get out and be social again. I don't know if you can hear, but they've got a pool party going on up the hill from us at our neighbor's place, and I'm going to sit here and try not to be jealous. My family at least, don't tend to get out too much in the winter, so when the weather gets nice, that's when we try to get in as many social activities as possible. On top of that, summer is when we attend most of our favorite conventions and hang out with old and new friends. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about my favorite party games. As with most of my Sixers, I used Board Game Geek's categorization to determine if a game is a party game. So let's get started with my number 6. My number 6 is a game with a pretty unique win condition, and that's Cockroach Poker. I say that it's unique because in this game, all but one player will win. The first player to have either 4 cards in front of them or to run out of cards in their hand loses the game. Everyone else wins. This is a fun game of bluffing and trying to read other players. You're going to pass a card from your hand to another player, face down, and claim that it's a certain type of animal. You could be telling the truth, or you could be lying. The person you pass the card to can say whether or not they believe you, and if they call it correctly, then you have to take the card back and put it in front of yourself. If they call it wrong, they keep the card in front of them. Their other option is to pass the card on to yet another player, in which case they can peek at the card first and then claim which animal is on the card. Again, either telling the truth or lying. It doesn't have to be the same animal that was originally claimed either. So a card can make its way around the whole table, changing each time, which can get a bit confusing to keep track of in large groups and adds to the excitement when the card is finally flipped over and revealed. At first, I thought the idea of a solo loser in a game wouldn't appeal to me, but the more I played it, the more fun I had, so that's why it made my list at number 6. Number 5 for me is a game that was one of the hottest games of just a few years back, and that's Just One. This is a cooperative party game, which I already like, and it's a limited communication style guessing game. Whoever the active player is will randomly, and without knowing what it is, select a word off of a card. All the other players will write down a one-word clue to try to get that person to guess their word. The hook is that any duplicate clues will cancel each other out and will not be shown. So if you need to think of clues that are obvious enough to help guide them to the right answer, but not so obvious that anyone else will be giving the same clue and overall reducing the number of clues they'll get. This is one of those types of games where, yes, there are rules for scoring and how to win, but that all usually goes right out the window after a couple of rounds just because we have so much fun trying to come up with clues and guess the words. This is a game that I would play over charades or Pictionary any day, so that's my number 5, Just One. My number 4 is a game that I played pretty early on in my gaming history, but it's one that I still find very fun to play, and that's Sheriff of Nottingham. This game is all about trying to smuggle goods, both legal and illegal, into the town of Nottingham, but first you have to get past the sheriff. You're going to slip a certain number of cards into a little bag and seal it up and pass it to the person who is acting as the sheriff for that round. They're going to decide if they want to let your bag pass through or if they're going to open it and inspect it. If they let it pass, you get to keep everything that you put in the bag. If they inspect it and find any contraband, then you have to pay the sheriff for all of those illegal goods. But if they inspect your bag and there's nothing but legal items in it, then the sheriff must pay you for that inconvenience. This is all fun, but what I love most about the game is that negotiation, bribery, and extortion are 100% encouraged. You can try to bribe the sheriff to let your bag pass by unchecked, or to search someone else's bag, or one of my favorite things is to watch their confusion when you offer to pay them to open your bag. I'm not great at these bluffing style games, and I don't know that I've ever won this one, but I always have a lot of fun playing it. So that's my number 4, Sheriff of Nottingham. Number 3 is a game that I really should not like at all. I suffer from really bad anxiety, social anxiety in particular, and so any kind of performative game is usually a big no for me. But for some reason, and I can't quite figure out why, Time's Up is a game that I always have a blast playing. This is another limited communication guessing game. Imagine evolving charades. Starting off, you can describe what you are trying to get your team to guess any way you like. In the second round, using the same answers, you can only give a one-word clue, but use sound or actions to get them to guess. And in the final round, you can use no words, just sounds and actions. So throughout the game, you're trying to set up meta clues to help your team guess the answer. The idea of getting up and acting out in front of a group of people is still something that I have to psych myself up for, but once we're into it and we're playing it, it's so much fun. I think maybe the reason it doesn't bother me as much in this game is that the clues that you'll begin to create as you play happen organically over the 3 rounds, and sometimes they'll have nothing to do with the actual answer, which can be really hilarious. This is probably my biggest exception to my old rule game as well, so that's my number 3, Time's Up. My number 2 is the newest game on my list, having just come out last year, and that's Ready, Set, Bet. This is a frantic, fast-paced betting game where you'll be betting on the outcome of a horse race in real time. One player runs the race, or you can have their very well-done app do it for you. And dice are rolled to determine which horse moves. If the same horse is rolled twice, then they get extra movement. You're going to be betting on horses to win, place, and show, as well as a huge variety of other side bets. There are no turns though, so if you want to claim a betting space, then you have to be quick. People will be shouting at each other and cheering on horses. I really imagine this is about as close to being at the tracks as you can get in a board game. I've had fun both betting and rolling the dice to run the horses in this one. The app is fantastic though, with race calling and sound effects, and it allows everyone to be involved in the betting. This is one that I would love to organize a big game of at a convention sometime, because I think this would make for a great game in that setting. So that's my number 2, Ready, Set, Bet. And my favorite game to play at parties is another bluffing style game, and that's Skull. I have so many fond memories of playing this game. Skull's rules are really simple. Everyone has 4 coasters. 3 of them have flowers and 1 has a skull. On your turn, you're either going to place one of your coasters face down in front of you, or you'll start a bid. You're going to be bidding on how many coasters you're able to flip over without flipping over a skull. You do have to start by flipping over your own coasters first though. This adds a lot of excitement because you may be trying to bid up an opponent, but if they don't bite and you have a skull in your stack, then you've lost the bid. Every time you lose a bid, you lose one of your coasters at random as well. And you can win by either being the first to successfully complete 2 bids, or by being the last player standing because everyone else has lost their coasters. We've had games of this go on for quite a long time, but because each round is fairly short, it never really feels like it's dragging on. Plus, it's an easy enough game to play while sitting around a table, having a few drinks, and it's great for casual social situations, which is why this is my favorite game to play at parties, Skull. All right, everybody, those are my favorite games for parties. Let me know if you've played any of them, and more importantly, let me know what your favorite party games are. Just a reminder that the Brew Crew is heading down to Indianapolis in a few weeks for Gen Con, so if you're going to be there, let me know or stop by and say hi. I'd love to meet some new people and play some games. And until next time, let's get another round for the table.